Today, I've got an idea that is going to be very difficult to not be misinterpreted or to come across in a way that I'm not intending. So I'm going to do my best, but please just take an extra second to consider and to think about what I'm saying at the most fundamental level as compared to necessarily the ways that I might incorrectly articulate it. So, without further ado, what is this idea? Why is there such a big intro? So, as you saw from the title, only do what you want to do. That sounds like a very privileged statement. You know, there needs to be a lot of resources and other things aligned to being able to make that happen, right? You know, you need to have total freedom to be able to only do what you're wanting to do. But the reason that I bring it up and the reason that I phrase it in that kind of way is, again, a common theme of the videos that I make here is trying to almost hack our monkey brain to being able to give us the best reality that we can have, rather than just simply accepting things on the face value of what they are in the moment, in the situation. In the example of pain being a lesson, of struggle being foundational for our growth and further progression. Things like that might not seem too good or great in the situation, but help us in the long term. This idea of only do things that you want to do isn't to try to say that everything that we do, we necessarily love doing. No one, I'm sure, would love being a septic tank cleaner or working 3 jobs just to support a only child or a group of children that you've had as a single parent or as a stressed out teacher or any of these other really, really difficult and challenging things to be dealing with. But again, the reason that I bring this up is this change in perspective, this change in mindset or calibration for what we're doing can give us the chance to being able to flip our bad times, or to not entirely change, but to just make it that much easier to re-empower ourselves, to give us the awareness that, hey, I'm doing the best that I can with the situation and I'm actively working towards a better future, but that doesn't mean that I have to make my current bad situation even worse by layering on top of it a bad mindset surrounding it. Again, very difficult topic to convey in a way that doesn't sound particularly privileged. The perspective that this gives is one of hope, is one of gratitude and resilience. It gives us the freedom to being able to reclaim, as I said, that power from a situation we feel like we might not be in control of. We might not have been born into the best situation. We might not have been given the best opportunities in life. But we're going to make the best we can out of any of those situations. We might not have had the best upbringing. We didn't choose that. But we do have a choice on how we respond to those kinds of things. However, many examples we can see out in the world of people coming from terrible circumstances, and the differing factor simply being that change in outlook. Not to say that this happens with everyone. Luck definitely is a component to all of this, and I'm not trying to dismiss or disregard that aspect at all. But when we think about things from a monkey brain context, our brain isn't there to make us happy. Our brain is there to highlight danger and to keep us alive and to further the survival of the human species. So when it comes to these really difficult and tough topics of peace or happiness or joy or any of these kind of positive emotions, if we're wanting to experience something that I think is deeper than any of the really ephemeral, transient, in the moment types of happiness for something a little bit deeper, this sense of fulfillment of shit. You might be a parent, as I said, that has to take care of a family, and you have to work 3 jobs to being able to make that happen. The fulfillment of, fuck, I am taking care of a family and myself, and I'm making it work, and I'm progressing towards a future that might be a little bit better than what I currently have. That is incredible. That person should be congratulated and should be celebrated as an icon for this ideal, for this idea. And I can make any number of references to other individuals, but to a certain extent, it's not about comparison. It's not about comparing who's worst off. It's just about making the best of whatever we have. Because, as I said, we can't obviously change what we've been given from life. As cliche as that is, there's just nothing we can do about that. But we can only strive to change what we've got, and where we currently are, taking stock of, shit, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to do it. But in the same kind of way, this can be useful for those that might not be on the edge of just trying to survive and trying to get to the next stage, but this can also be useful for those of us who are just trying to integrate more better routines into our day-to-day lives, be it, have things that we have the luxury of being able to do, like meditating or learning a new language or reading more or any of these kinds of things. It can be easy to fall into this mindset of, I need to do X, Y, and Z, or otherwise I don't have any sense of self-worth, or things aren't panning out the way that I want to, so that means that I must be incapable and I must be, a shitty person, which obviously isn't the case. But the problem comes in when we are highlighting these new habits as just things that we need to tick off, rather than things that we genuinely, deeply want to be doing. And again, changing our mindset into this state of only doing things we want to do. Sure, these things might take more time. Sure, they might be a little bit tedious at points, but we want to do them. We forcefully change the perspective that our mind provides to us when it is talking about these things that might be inconvenient. And so not only is this beneficial potentially for the low end of experience, but also these higher end things that we try to incorporate as well. I'm absolutely going to need to do another video on this to try to unpack it more and to try to articulate it in a more definitive way, because I think this idea and this set of ideas of doing more than you think you can, only doing what you want to do, have the same underlying foundation of choosing a different state for our minds to be in, choosing a different calibration, which isn't super intuitive and doesn't seem like it makes sense on the surface. But once we enact it, and once we take back the cheat codes that our monkey brain tries to use against us and flip it, it starts to come together and it starts to make more and more sense. I'm not claiming that I'm a master at any of these at all, by the way. This is just a certain set of ideals that we like to try to live by, that we do our best to remember in the moments where things don't seem that easy and that it can get quite overwhelming. And the only reason that I make these videos on these kinds of topics is that they are a representation of what the best outcome would be. And we're not going to reach that best outcome every time, if not most of the time. But we can only do our best to try to get to that at the very least. Because if we don't even try, then we're going to get a far worse outcome than we would have ever gotten otherwise. But hey, we're all just humans trying to do the best that we can with whatever we've got. So that's that's just how it is. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for being here, because I know, as I said at the beginning of this video, this is potentially a very inflammatory topic or inflammatory idea, if not expressed in a precisely perfect way, which I am almost certain I have not articulated it in such a way. So if you have any comments or suggestions or feedback or tweaks to this idea or additions, then I would absolutely love to hear it, because we're all just trying to improve ourselves and get better and change and develop together and grow on this journey, as cringy as that might sound. So once again, thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and do more than you think you can.